like this because I feel like I'm far away from y'all. So I'm just gonna move that, and I'm gonna move this up here, and then we're gonna sit right here. How y'all doing? Ignore the fact that I'm in the classroom and ignore the fact that I don't have my green hat today. I'm recording this video on a whim, so we're gonna make this an efficient and nice process. Hi, welcome to the channel where we talk all things music. My name is Grass. Today we're gonna be talking about the man who tried to ruin Janet Jackson's career. I just wanted to go off on why I can't stand this guy. And if you are a really diehard fan of Janet Jackson like I am, when I say the name Les Moonves, see it right there? See how some of the people you're watching with just got all the disgust in their soul? Yeah, this guy sucks. When I tell you I can't stand this man with the burning, I can't stand this. You don't really need to know too much about this man for this story. All you need to know is that he was the head of CBS during this time. So he was in control of everything CBS, the shows, like radio, music, any company and anything that was under CBS. Les Moonves essentially was the big man, big boss of all that kind of stuff. That's all you really need to know. Oh, and you also need to know that Les Moonves, for some reason, had an obsession with ruining Janet Jackson's career. I don't know why. I don't even know if this is true. This is something that I've seen a lot in doing research for this. Some people have just said that he's been obsessed with doing this. So I'm going to take that piece of information with a grain of salt, but I also could believe it considering what he did to Janet. So with that being said, let's just get straight into the big event, the thing that you guys were waiting on, the Super Bowl. So as y'all know, on February 1st, 2004, Janet Jackson did her Super Bowl performance, and it went well until the very last few seconds. So Janet Jackson was performing, and then Justin Timberlake, surprise guest, came on. Y'all know what happened. They performed the song, and then eventually we get to the last few seconds where Justin sings "I'm Have You Naked" by the end of the song, and the malfunction happens. We all know the malfunction. We all know what happened, all that kind of stuff. By the way, that happened for 9/16th of a second, by the way. Her breast was exposed for 9/16th of a second. Not even a full second, just 9/16th of a second. People were so ridiculous back in the day. But anyways, we all know the backlash and the outcry that came from this performance afterwards. You know, people were upset. But we all know the reaction, but I want to get to her album release. I want to get to Damita Jo. Because Damita Jo was set. Because it's a new Janet Jackson album, hasn't released music in 3 years. Height of the Super Bowl, was going to go to the Grammys, going to perform. It was set. This was set to be her year. And unfortunately, this stanky Okay, so back to Les Moonves. Okay, so we all know that Damita Jo did not perform as well as her Janet Jackson's other albums. It still did great, going to number 2, multi-platinum, selling millions of copies, over 300,000 in its first week. It still did great for considering the stuff that she went through. But I want to tell y'all something. Do y'all think that people were so angry with Janet Jackson that people collectively decided to stop listening to her music? No, not at all. The people who were genuinely upset to the point where they don't want to listen to Janet Jackson no more at the time probably wasn't listening to Janet Jackson in the first place. So they don't matter. So why did Janet Jackson's album not perform as well as her previous albums? Well, this is where Les Moonves come in, the head of CBS. Les Moonves, following the incident, the wardrobe malfunction, he wanted Justin and Janet to apologize to them. Now, Janet had already made her apology video before he even said this. She said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anybody. It was an accident, and I'm genuinely sorry. I didn't mean to hurt nobody. My apologies." She shouldn't have done the apology, and even Janet went on to say that herself. But she made a very efficient and good apology that was heartfelt, and he still wasn't satisfied with that because he said, "I want an apology from both of them." And then he said Janet's apology wasn't enough. Just he said in his words that it was inefficient. Sit your old crusty behind down with that BS. Anyways, Justin went to him. So apparently there was a documentary that came out called Malfunction, The Dressing Down of Janet Jackson. This is where that came from. Like the Moonves wanting an apology from both of them. Apparently Justin Timberlake went to him and begged on his knees and pleaded, and he was like, "I'm so sorry." Just like, yeah, whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently Justin went to him and apologized, which I can see. He was young and he just got his solo career, so he probably wanted to do his thing or whatever. So Justin got off without a hitch. He went on to perform at the Grammys. He went on to win at the Grammys. He went on to be praised. And then Janet Jackson, because people don't like black women being successful, it's ridiculous. But Janet went on and said, I'm not gonna apologize no more because it was an accident and I'm not gonna apologize for something I didn't do. So screw you, because Janet Jackson is that. You understand me? Janet Jackson is a gangster. Boy, don't play with black people. Ooh, it's so great. But unfortunately, Les Moonves decided to implement a blacklist on her music. So he went on to block her. He himself went on to blacklist her music from MTV, VH1, and Infinity Broadcasting radio stations. All of these were owned by Viacom at the time, which is under CBS. So people were not so angry to the point that they stopped listening to Janet Jackson. No. Les Moonves decided himself to block her music on all those radio stations, MTV, VH1, and all of that, so that her music does not get radio play and cannot be eligible for charting as well on the Billboard charts. The only places where Janet was like seeing a lot of success was in the black community, because BET and like our people, we were helping Janet Jackson out. We were promoting her music because we understood that this old white, stanky, crusty, dusty looking heifer was trying to ruin another black woman. So we promoted her music and all that kind of stuff. So that's where that happened. I don't need to go through the fines because and I know the NFL was fined and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. But here's what I will say. Janet Jackson was uninvited from the Grammys. She was set to perform a tribute to Luther Vandross, but that did not come to fruition, and instead became Alicia Keys, Celine Dion, and Richard Marx, which, great performance, but it's just like, what could have been? You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate. Now, meanwhile, Janet Jackson during all of this, obviously, not doing great, but she was standing strong. She was being a powerful black woman. She was standing strong. She was like, all right, y'all want to be crusty? Go ahead. I'm still do my thing, and I'm still perform, and I'm still do what I need to do. So shout out to Janet, and shout out to the people who were supporting Janet during this time. Even if you did not think it was an accident, shout out to the people who still supported her at the time. Now let me tell y'all something crazy. So 7 years later, after the whole incident, 2011, 7 years later, Janet Jackson releases her book, True You, a New York Times bestseller, and it did pretty good. Now, not unfortunately, she had signed the book deal with a company, with publisher Simon and I believe Schuster, which was owned by CBS. So when Les Moonves found out that her book was doing good under his thing, he said, how the did she slip through? That's what he reportedly inquired. And Moonves had also said, according to one source, that heads were going to roll, as something like that. And so 7 years later, he was still mad at Janet for a book. 7 years later, girl had moved on, was on her #1's tour, and he was mad over a book. Whew, Lord knows he be putting us through trials and tribulations, I tell you. But let's go back to Les Moonves for a quick second. Because in 2017, Les Moonves has voiced support for the Me Too movement against sexual harassment in the workplace. What do you think this boy did in 2018, the year afterward? What do you think he was accused of? I'll wait. You good? You good? Guess what? He was accused of sexual allegations in 2018. That's exactly what happened. So in July 2018, The New Yorker published an article by Ronan Farrow saying that 6 women accused Moonves of harassment and intimidation, and dozens have described abuse at CBS. Moonves was placed under investigation. One thing led to another. He was let go. And what's so sad, you know what's crazy? He had asked for severance pay, $120 million. And CBS denied that because, of course, what it looked like giving this man who was accused of dozens of women saying that he was giving these sexual allegations and then sending him off with $120 million. That would be, I'm so glad that CBS didn't do that. That's one thing CBS did that was correct. And so eventually, all that stuff went down, and Les Moonves, the crusty boy, stepped down, and he was no longer the head of CBS in 2018. Now, the reason why I bring this up is, one, to show the hypocrisy of Les Moonves and how he was talking all this mess about Janet Jackson. Meanwhile, he was doing all this sexual allegations for years. Some of these women said that this abuse went back to the 80s. So he's been doing this for decades, getting away with it. And now and then these women, thank God, finally stepped up, and they voiced, they were brave in voicing what they went through, and now he is no longer in power, and he can no longer abuse women. Now, this is great because that. But two, Janet Jackson in 2018, meanwhile, had one of her most arguably successful years post Super Bowl. Matter of fact, at all. Because 2018, she got the Billboard Icon Award. She was the first black woman to do so. She got the iHeart Radio Music Award or something like that. She got a bunch of icon awards that year. She went on to perform at the MTV Europe Awards. She obviously, y'all know that performance at the Billboard Icon Awards, which has millions of views on YouTube. She released her single Made for Now with Daddy Yankee, which has 88 million views on YouTube, the music video, and went to #1 on the dance chart. And it was her very first #1 single in Mexico. That was obviously due to Daddy Yankee, so shout out to him and his support. And she went on her second leg of the State of the World Tour in 2018, which sold out every single show. You can check the dates. Almost every show, if not every show in 2018 on the State of the World Tour had sold out. So meanwhile, while Janet Jackson was having a very successful year, Les Moonves was getting tore down, and Les Moonves was just having the worst because he finally got caught up. And I'm saying that to say, y'all don't get away with anything. Me too. Nobody in this life gets away with anything. The Bible says itself, you reap what you sow. And that's what happened to this man. He had so much power, he abused it, thought he can get away with it, and eventually came back to him. And now all the people, all the women that he had abused through all these years came back to haunt him. Poetic. I'm glad he's done. I'm glad that he doesn't get to do anything. I'm glad he's not successful. I'm glad that he's he's not dead, but I'm just glad that he's gone. You know what I mean? I'm just glad that he's gone and God dealt with him. So that's pretty great. So I guess that's the point of this video, was to share with you about Les Moonves, but also to give you that lesson. You don't get away with anything. And you know, you gotta tread lightly in this world, because unfortunately, Les Moonves is not the only one who does this. Les Moonves is not the only guy with so much power and, you know, abuses the power and abuses women and all people, you know, he's not the only one who does that. He's just one of many, unfortunately. So Les Moonves is one step into making this world a better place, which is taking down these people in big powers, making all this money, and making them get accountability for their crimes. So hopefully that happens to everybody in the world in a very respectful and good way. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching my video. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, and if you want to see more content regarding music, I don't just do these kind of videos. I do reactions and all that kind of stuff. Be sure to subscribe, and there's people down here. I gotta go. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.